You're standing at the edge of the Nile River, and you're about to make a decision that will haunt you for the rest of your life. You're not Moses yet. You're just a confused prince who grew up in a palace built on the backs of your own people. You were born Hebrew, but you don't remember that part. What you remember is silk sheets, servants, the best education in Egypt. Your adoptive mother is Pharaoh's daughter. Your adoptive grandfather is a living god. You have everything. But there's this nagging feeling that something is fundamentally wrong. You're 40 years old when it happens. You're walking through a construction site where Hebrew slaves are making bricks. The sun is brutal. A taskmaster is beating an old man with a rod. The old man's hands are bleeding. He can barely stand. And something inside you snaps. You look around. No witnesses. You kill the taskmaster. You bury him in the sand. You tell yourself it was justice. It was defense of the innocent. But your hands are shaking. You've never killed anyone before. The old man looks at you with terror, not gratitude. He runs. The next day, you try to break up a fight between two Hebrews. One of them turns to you and says the words that will change everything. Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? Your blood goes cold. They know, which means everyone will know, which means Pharaoh will know. You run. You abandon the palace, the silk, the power, everything. You run into the desert with nothing but the clothes on your back. You're a wanted man now, a murderer, a traitor to the crown. The Midian desert is unforgiving. You have no water, no food, no plan. You're going to die out here. But you stumble into a small town built around a well. There are 7 women trying to water their father's flock. Shepherds show up and drive them away. It's the same injustice you saw in Egypt, just a different setting. You can't help yourself. You defend them. You water their flock. Their father, Jethro, invites you to dinner. He offers you work. He offers you a new life. You take it. You marry one of his daughters, Zipporah. You become a shepherd. For 40 years, you tend sheep in the wilderness. 40 years of silence. 40 years of exile. You tell yourself you're content. You tell yourself this is enough. But you're lying to yourself. You killed a man and ran away. You're a coward, living in the middle of nowhere, hiding from your past. Then one day, you're on the far side of the desert near Mount Horeb. You see something impossible. A bush is on fire, but it's not burning up. The flames just keep going. You move closer. That's when you hear the voice. Take off your sandals. You're standing on holy ground. You freeze. This isn't heat stroke. This isn't exhaustion. This is real. The voice identifies itself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of your ancestors, the God you've heard about in stories but never actually believed in. I've seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I'm sending you to bring them out. You laugh. It's not a joyful laugh. It's the laugh of a man who knows he's completely unqualified. You're 80 years old. You're a shepherd. You have a stutter. You murdered someone and fled. You're the worst possible candidate for this job. Who am I to go to Pharaoh? You ask. Who am I to lead anyone? The voice doesn't argue with you. It just says, I will be with you. You try every excuse. They won't believe me. They won't listen. I can't speak well. Send someone else, please. Anyone else. But God isn't asking. He's telling. He gives you signs. Your staff turns into a snake. Your hand becomes leprous and then heals. Water will turn to blood. These aren't party tricks. These are weapons. Tools of war against the most powerful empire on earth. Your brother Aaron will speak for you. Now go. You have no choice. You gather your wife and sons. You start the long journey back to Egypt, back to the place where you're wanted for murder, back to face the man who wants you dead, back to demand the impossible from a god king who will never say yes. You meet Aaron at the mountain. He's older now, but he remembers you. Together, you go to the Hebrew elders. You perform the signs. They believe. They actually believe. They bow down and worship. For the first time in decades, you feel something other than shame. You feel purpose, but believing is the easy part. Now comes the hard part. Now you have to walk into Pharaoh's throne room and say the words that will start a war. The palace hasn't changed. The gold, the columns, the power. It all comes flooding back. You're not a prince anymore. You're a shepherd with a staff and a message. Pharaoh sits on his throne. He's younger than you expected. Arrogant. Surrounded by advisors and magicians. He looks at you like you're an insect. Aaron speaks for you. Let my people go. Pharaoh laughs. It's not a nervous laugh. It's genuine amusement. Who is your God that I should obey him? I don't know your God, and I will not let Israel go. Then he makes it worse. He orders the taskmasters to stop providing straw for the bricks. The Hebrews have to gather their own straw and still meet the same quota. Production becomes impossible. The beatings intensify. The Hebrew foremen come to you. They're furious. You've made us a stench to Pharaoh. You've put a sword in their hand to kill us. You pray. You demand answers. Why did you send me here to make things worse? The response is simple. Now you'll see what I will do to Pharaoh. The plagues begin. Water turns to blood. Every river, every stream, every jar in every house. The Nile becomes death. Fish float to the surface, rotting. The smell is unbearable. Egypt's lifeline becomes a nightmare. Pharaoh's magicians replicate the trick. See, they can do it too. Pharaoh's heart hardens. No release. 7 days later, frogs, not a few frogs, millions. They cover the ground, fill the beds, swarm the ovens. You can't walk without stepping on them. The croaking is deafening. Pharaoh begs for relief. Take them away and I'll let your people go. You pray. The frogs die, all of them, at once. The stench of rotting frogs replaces the stench of rotting fish. And Pharaoh changes his mind. No release. The gnats. Dust becomes gnats. Billions of them. In eyes, in mouths, in ears. The magicians try to replicate this one. They fail. This is the finger of God, they tell Pharaoh. He doesn't care. No release. Flies come next. Thick swarms that devour everything, but not in Goshen. Not where the Hebrews live. The division is clear now. This isn't random. This is targeted. Pharaoh offers a compromise. Sacrifice to your God, but stay in Egypt. You refuse. We're leaving, or this continues. Fine, go. But not far. The flies disappear. Pharaoh hardens again. No release. Livestock disease. Every Egyptian horse, donkey, camel, cow, sheep dies. The fields are full of carcasses. The Hebrew livestock? Untouched. Pharaoh sends investigators to verify. It's true. He still refuses. No release. Boils break out. Painful, oozing sores on every Egyptian. The magicians can't even stand before Pharaoh anymore. They're covered in boils, writhing in pain. Still, no release. Hail falls. Not normal hail. Fire mixed with ice. Flaming hail that destroys everything in the fields. Crops obliterated, trees shattered. Anyone caught outside is killed. But in Goshen, clear skies. Pharaoh admits it this time. I have sinned. Your God is righteous. I am wicked. Let me know when to stop this, you pray. The hail stops. Pharaoh sees the damage is done and changes his mind again. No release. Locusts arrive. A cloud so thick it blocks the sun. They eat everything the hail didn't destroy. Every green thing vanishes. Pharaoh's officials beg him. How long will this man be a snare to us? Let the people go. Egypt is ruined. Pharaoh calls you back. Fine. The men can go. Just the men. You refuse. We all go, or none of us go. Get out of my sight. The locusts stay until Pharaoh begs again. They leave. He hardens. No release. Darkness covers Egypt. Not nighttime darkness. Thick, Oppressive darkness you can feel. 3 days of absolute blackness. No one moves. No one can see their hand in front of their face. But the Hebrews have light in their homes. Pharaoh summons you. Go. Take everyone. But leave your flocks and herds. You refuse. Not a hoof will be left behind. Pharaoh explodes. Get out! If I see your face again, you will die. You meet his eyes. You're right. You'll never see my face again. One plague remains. The final one. God tells you what's coming. At midnight, every firstborn son in Egypt will die. From Pharaoh's son to the prisoner's son to the firstborn of the livestock, death will pass through Egypt, but it will pass over the Hebrew homes. If they mark their doorposts with lamb's blood, you deliver the instructions. 1 lamb per household. Slaughter it at twilight. Put the blood on the doorframe. Roast the lamb. Eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Eat quickly. Be dressed. Have your sandals on. Hold your staff. You're leaving tonight. The Hebrews obey. For the first time in 400 years, they have hope. Real, tangible hope. Midnight comes. You hear it before you see it. Screaming, wailing. A sound that starts in Pharaoh's palace and spreads through every street, every house, every corner of Egypt. The firstborn are dead. All of them. Pharaoh's son, dead. The guard captain's son, dead. The baker's son, dead. Every single firstborn male in Egypt dies in the same moment. Pharaoh sends for you in the middle of the night. His face is destroyed, broken. Leave. Take your flocks. Take your herds. Take everything. Just go and bless me. The Egyptians are shoving gold and silver into Hebrew hands. Take it. Just leave before we all die. 600,000 men, plus women and children, probably 2 million people total. They gather their belongings. They take the unleavened dough, no time for it to rise. They move out in the night. You're at the front with Aaron. A pillar of cloud leads during the day. A pillar of fire at night. God himself is navigating. You're not a shepherd anymore. You're not a murderer fleeing justice. You're the man who broke Egypt, the man who led the Exodus. But the Red Sea is ahead. Pharaoh's army is behind. The impossible part, it's just beginning. You're standing between slavery and freedom, between the past and the promise, between who you were and who you're becoming. The water splits in front of you, walls of ocean held back by nothing but the word of God. You step forward. The ground is dry. 2 million people follow you through an impossible path. The Egyptian chariots chase. You hear the horses, the wheels, the shouting. They're coming. But you keep walking. When the last Hebrew crosses, when you reach the other side, you turn around. The walls collapse. The army drowns. Pharaoh's power ends in the sea. You're 80 years old when this story starts. You'll wander the desert for 40 more years. You'll never enter the promised land yourself. You'll make mistakes. You'll get angry. You'll strike rocks when you should speak to them. But none of that changes what you did here. You were a murderer who became a shepherd, who became a liberator. You were the most unlikely hero in history. You argued with God. You doubted every step. You wanted someone else to do this. But you picked up the staff anyway. You went back to Egypt anyway. You stood before Pharaoh anyway. Because sometimes the most unqualified person is exactly who's needed. Sometimes the broken past is preparation for an impossible future. Sometimes the coward has to become the hero because no one else will. You're Moses, the man who said yes when every part of him wanted to say no. The man who led an exodus, the man who split a sea. Not because you were ready, because you went anyway.